All right, what we got here?
We got pork shoulders.
That's pork shoulder.
Yes.
And that is our beans.
The beans with potatoes, olives, garlic.
Yum. Over here is our rice. Looks just like rice. Oh, there we go. And we had some plantains here that are fried. We have some more that are frying. This is coming together nicely. So we're going to do some more cooking in just a minute. So we'll be right back. Hi, I'm Charlie from CookingSecretsForMen.com. And today we are continuing our series, Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. And I'm very pleased to have, representing the Kinship Community Food Center, Vincent Noth. See, we can edit anything. Vincent Noth. And we have North Street on North Avenue here in Milwaukee. So Vincent Noth, thank you so much for coming by. So you have a very interesting background. I think, and your experiences in growing up have led you to where you are today as the executive director of Kinship, which used to be here in Milwaukee, the River West Food Pantry, which is our local food bank. So you went to Rufus King High School here in Milwaukee, one of our top public high schools, and then you graduated from Carnegie Mellon with from the School of Drama.
That's right.
So your family is involved all over the place in the arts, and that's what you got your undergraduate degree in. So talk a little bit about those formative years and how they prepared you for the next phase.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, my parents, Dominic and Louise Noth, are two pretty incredible but also simple people. My dad was the movie and play critic of the Milwaukee Journal, the entertainment editor growing up. And there were 9 of us, and grew up on the Lower East Side. And they just modeled a life of, profound sacrificial love. And so another decision they made that I think was really formative for me is we were part of the busing initiative. So I was bused from the Lower East Side every day into the Central City as a child. Went to Lloyd Street School, and that school was just amazing. The teachers were diverse and forward-thinking, and culturally they really modeled inclusion. So it was a very diverse environment, but I think the children, I felt as a child like, a part of something. But I also saw pretty extreme inequality, leaving from kind of around Riverside High School on the east side, getting on a bus every day, going into the Central City. And I think that it was later in life, really, that it took me, many years later, as I tried to leave Milwaukee and thought, I'm going to leave Milwaukee behind, that, some of the inequality, some of the real entrenched issues of poverty kept calling to me when I was at school at Carnegie Mellon studying drama, when I lived in Los Angeles, working in the entertainment industry, and then also I was in the Peace Corps. My wife and I were in the Peace Corps, and seeing, I think, poverty in the developing country, in a post-Soviet country, in Moldova. I think in all of those places, Milwaukee's story and the unique, sort of the terrible face of racialized inequality that we have, and in poverty in Milwaukee kept calling me back.
So you did mention the Peace Corps, and I'd like to talk about that. So you went back and got your degree, a master's degree, in religious studies. And where was that?
At Trinity International University,
okay.
just outside of Chicago.
So you got your master's in religious studies, and then joined the Peace Corps. And for those of us of a certain age, which I'm a certain age, who were alive when the Peace Corps was started, with John Kennedy and Sergeant Shriver running it, there's this sense of service to others that was put in place with the Peace Corps, and is now, 60 years old plus? So talk a little bit about that experience.
But I think Peace Corps, in an interesting way, really prepared me for the last 10 years of my life working with Kinship, because of the ethic and the approach that was ahead of its time about how to approach development work or community development work, which is really all about friendship. And one of Peace Corps' primary goals is that you would go into this community and you would build cross-cultural friendship. And so, so we were in Moldova, an incredible country. We learned the Romanian language, and it's an agrarian. It was one of the kind of bread baskets of the Soviet Union. So everybody makes their own wine. Everybody has these huge subsistence gardens. But I think what is really key to my story, at least in the work that I do in Milwaukee, is, things are built in communities at the speed of trust. Have you ever heard that before?
Sure.
And you go there and you have to be a learner. You can't come in as an expert. Mm-hmm. You're not coming as a consultant. You're coming and literally they're teaching you the language. They're teaching you how to navigate the culture. You're like a child. And I think that's the right way to go into any work in a community. This is a community with a history and with roots and with people that understand the dynamics. So what I think happened to me coming back from the Peace Corps is I wanted to dig in Milwaukee. I think seeing the particular flavor of poverty overseas in the post-Soviet world clarified for me my need to come back to Milwaukee. And yet then I went and I walked about 4 blocks from my house to the River West Food Pantry to volunteer. And I saw all my neighbors. I saw people that cooked the best food at our block party. I saw all the neighborhood characters. I did have this moment where I realized, here's everybody coming. And food, hunger, literally every time River West Food Pantry was opening its doors, there was a line around the corner. Right. So hunger's bringing all the people into this gathering space with high frequency, and all of the sort of the Peace Corps training kicked in, and I thought, well, this is where you can build community. This is where you can build relationships, which sort of started the journey of the last 10 years for me.
Well, that was going to be my next question to you. So 10 years ago, you ended up at River West Food Pantry. Yeah. Which has subsequently, in the last couple of years, changed its name to the Kinship Community Food Center. So talk about that journey and its place in our city.
River West Food Pantry if you include the years that it's been Kinship, it's been over 40 years. Right. And when I came as a volunteer, there was mostly women in their 70s running it. So I think for us in the early days, because some of them could no longer run it, and Father Tim Kitsky, the parish priest, the new parish priest at the time,
priest.
that's your pastor, and then so also the school social worker, because we had 2 locations. One was at Gensland Public School. We kind of a community group said, well, how do we turn this into a nonprofit? And so we don't lose this vital resource. I didn't think at the time I was going to run it, but I was part of this conversation. And but I think the key thing that we asked is, well, what could we do through food? Rather than just making this or keeping it as a transactional place where people just come and receive, and you measure how many pounds of food do we give out to how many people. What are people doing in communities through food? And that started this journey for us of finding organizations in Toronto and Seattle and Spain and Pittsburgh that were just all these amazing things that people were doing with urban farms or with collaborative cooking or with interactive shopping and chef demos in markets. And but the real key, I think the real thing that accelerated everything was when we just said, well, what if the focus is not about any service we provide, but just about building relationships and letting food be a means to build relationships.
Okay. So that probably leads right into, so you brought a friend with you.
I did.
So Londi, why don't you come on over, bring a chair, I'll squeeze in here together. Oh, don't get undressed.
Well, you can rep. You can rep
who you are. So Vince, why don't you introduce Londi and tell us why he's here, and a little bit, whatever you want to say, Landy.
So this is Orlando Pacheco, and we call him Landy. And he's part of a culinary training program that Kinship has. But really, our friendship with Landy started through a really wonderful collaboration we have in the River West neighborhood with 4D, Fourth Dimension Sobriety. So Fourth Dimension is a number of different sober living communities. And Landy can talk a little bit about his story, how he came to 4D, and just maybe a little bit of his backstory. But for me, we became friends because he was volunteering at our food center, and I just got to know this amazing person that has taught me a lot about strength and love, and like we talk about sacrificial love in my story. Well, Landy has really modeled that to his family, and now he's modeling it to the community with what he does at 4D. So why don't you tell me why you ended up at 4D, and then like sort of how you've gotten more connected to Kinship.
Well, it was a long trip to get there, to get where I was at right now. For many years of my life, I was doing, drugs, using drugs, gangbanging, drug dealing. Didn't graduate from school. I really had a really rough life in the neighborhood, not with my mom. My mom tried her best to do what she can as a single parent, and there was 5 of us. And, I ended up leaving, I ended up running away and ended up doing other things that my mom didn't approve and whatnot, and to start having kids in a young age and whatnot. And I tried my hardest after a while of this life. I tried my hardest to get away from it, but it was kind of hard because I felt like this is my life. This is what I was dealt with, so I'm gonna not transition to something better than I am, But I always see inspirational speakers, inspirational people, either rappers, singers, dancers, that came from the hood and they got out off of it. And I was always telling myself, man, bro, you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing. But I really didn't have enough skills for anything. But I did really love to cook. I've been doing that all my life with my grandma and my aunt, especially my mom, and my stepdad, which I call my dad. He's been in my life for 30 years. And so I was always with food in restaurants and cooking, making my own recipes, or following cookbooks or YouTube channels and try to perfect it and make it better. Try to find the traditionals of my family or what they usually eat. When we were kids, we didn't want to eat the same food, but when you grow a little more older, you're like, I miss my mom's cooking, So I asked her, can you show me how to do this, show me how to do that? So she did. Anyways, I ended up gangbanging at the age of 12 in one of the tough gangs in Milwaukee, and had my first $2 when I was 12, and my next $2 when I was 15, my last daughter when I was 17, and then my son when I was 30. And I wanted to give them something, and I didn't want my family or my brothers or my cousins to follow me, make the wrong decisions that I made. And I try to call for help. I try to find ways to get out from that situation I was in. And nobody gave me a hand. They were just sending me in circles. Call this number, call that number, meet this person. It never happened. And then last year of March 10th, 3 o'clock in the morning, I was getting chased by police officers. And obviously I was high. And I accidentally disarmed one of them. So they started calling for backup and whatnot, and then they tased me, and they tackled me and whatnot, but I was fighting them, and then something told me to stop. It's done, it's over with. So I gave in and went to MSDF in downtown. And from there, something was telling me, bro, you need to stop. This is the end. Your life is gonna be, it's gonna be gone if you don't change something now. So after that, I started attending churches. Then we had an MSDF. Attending AODA when we had MSDF. Started reading reading inspirational books, fantasy books to get me out of the real world. Started staying away from people, places, and things. And you have to change all three. What I realized is that you have to change all three. In the past, I changed the people, but not the place. Or I would change the place, but not the people. Or I changed those two, but not the things that I was doing that will relate to my past. So this time I did all three. I left even my family. I left my family. I left my friends, even my kids, for a little while. I had to, and get from the south side and go somewhere that I usually never hang out with, never been at. So that's what I did. And after that, I got an ATR. My PO gave me an ATR, and sent me to General Robinson.
ATR is?
An alternative to revocation.
Okay.
You know, I was going to get revocated for 4 years. So, and I only had like a year and a half left on paper. So I'm like, please give me a chance. So she gave me a chance because she believed that I did really want to change. She believed that I really did want to stop, you know. So what ended up happening, I went to General Robinson, and I was there for 48 days.
That's a rehab center.
It's a rehab center.
Okay.
And they do programs inside, and I was always one asking questions. I was one of the ones that always asking questions, and stood there and listened to everything that they were telling me. That I was not being defiant. I was not being a hard person to deal with. I was like, this time I have to take it seriously. I was taking notes, you know, reading books and asking questions and being on one-on-one facilitators that I had in there. And after a while, I had an RC worker that supposed to kind of help me in certain areas in life, like housing and programming and therapists and whatnot. And I asked him, because I was going to graduate from General Robinson, but I didn't want to get out just yet. I said, I need more, you know.
Right.
And well, he told me if I had money, because what I'm asking for it's a dream. It's impossible. If I don't have money, I can't get it. So I got a little depressed, a little upset with what he told me. Instead of telling me he'll try or he'll go look for information, he just said what he said. So a week later, everybody was called downstairs outside, that we're going to have a speaker meeting. A speaker's going to come and talk to us. And then that person was Jason Gonzalez.
Yeah.
You know, and he came, and I was impressed of how strong he was and how motivated he was, how inspirational he was, how serious he was about his transition.
And Jason is the founder of 4D, and about 10, 11 years ago, right when I was starting at River West, at the time River West Food Pantry, Jason was a teacher, had gotten sober, and decided to open up his home to take in people who were struggling with severe addiction. So that's how 4D was born, out of his home, which now there's like 3 properties in River West. But so anyway, Jason is the founder and an inspiration of us both. You know.
It is. Well, as painful as your story is, I know it's very personal to you, but it unfortunately is all too common in the country. So I had a chance to, as we were prepping for today's video, to spend some time with you and just absorb who you are as a human being. Mm-hmm. And I love what you. First of all, I love what we're going to be cooking, but just how you present yourself as a person and how you interact. And there's no miscommunication. You're just a guy, I'm just a guy. We're just here, hanging out. And Vince is just a guy. We're just here. So it's an inspirational story that needs to be told, and that's why we're hopefully talking.
I think that the way that we provide services to the marginalized needs to change. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is happening all over the city, all over the world. People get this, but I think a lot of people don't get it, which is that if you want to, go to the margins, you know what I mean? The goal should be to let the folks at the margins change us. And the goal is not to provide a service or to fix somebody. The goal is to stand in awe of the burdens that people have carried. And for us at Kinship, that's been the whole change. If you come down to our center, you're going to come into a room and you're not going to know, well, who are the people that are here to serve, and who are the people that are here to receive services, because we're just really trying to become friends. And like, I just feel like, just the way I know Orlando has had an impact on you and the hour you've already spent, but for me, like, every day he and so many others they're changing my life through their story, through their strength, through their perspective. And so I just wanted to say that.
Well,
Thanks, Lord.
Glenn, would you grab those 2 aprons over there? So this series that we do, Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders, we call it Serious People with Serious Jobs Having a Little Fun. So we're going to have a little fun, and we're giving both you guys an apron. So Lonnie, I know you're repping Kinship underneath there, so you want to keep that on, or you want to put your
I want to
whatever? So we're going to get organized over here in the cooking area, where we've done a lot of prep work. So so as he's putting on his apron, so Lonnie, why don't you tell us what we're cooking today?
Today we're going to cook a Puerto Rican dish that my mom made every once in a while, but it was so good for us. And I told her to show me how to do it many years ago. It's Mofongo. It's basically with pieces of pork shoulders, plantains or garlic, and pork skins. And people does it different ways. You can put bacon, you can put potatoes in it, whatever. And then white rice with beans.
Great. So this mofongo is the national dish, or one of the national dishes of Puerto Rico.
It's one of the well-known national dishes of Puerto Rico.
All right. So let us get set up. We'll be back in just a minute, and we'll show you how we put it together. And then I think we have to taste it after we do that.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yes, I want that.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll be right back.
Garlic.
All right. So we're getting ready to go here. So Londi, take it away. What we got here?
Yeah, sure. So these are the plantains that we sautéed, right? And these are already smashed, and so you want me to smash the rest of these, right? Is the idea is to smash the rest of these.
So we're smashing some plantains that we cooked in hot oil.
So it'll be easier to transform it into whatever shape and form you want to.
So because we're gonna make ball like sort of like a little mountain.
A little mountain.
Okay. So
A
now,
mountain of mofongo.
So now that these are smashed, right? I'm gonna
It'll be
finish
easier
the
to
job.
smash if you put it in there.
All right.
So we're putting the plantains in a bowl. Smashed plantains.
These have been sautéed for maybe how long? Just about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. We sautéed them.
4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes each side sometimes. It all depends how high you put the temperature. I like to put the temperature in medium, so the inside will cook at the same temperature at the outside. If not, the outside will be cooked.
All right, salt,
Yeah, salt.
All right, a little
pepper.
salt and pepper. A little fresh ground pepper we got there.
Garlic.
How much
A
garlic?
nice squeeze until I say stop.
So that's,
A little more. Right there. Olive oil.
Orlando, I'm Italian, so there's a saying that says there's no such thing as too much garlic.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
with
no.
you.
No, I mean,
How much?
a little more.
So right, a little olive oil. So we've got salt and pepper, garlic, and olive oil.
Then put the meat inside.
So this
And
is the pork shoulder.
That was the pork shoulder.
And so you diced it,
Yes, I diced them in small so it can cook all evenly.
and then you sautéed it for how long in oil?
Medium.
Fried it medium.
In medium fire for about, I'll say altogether like 6 minutes.
And these are the smashed pork rinds.
So smoke smash pork. And what we do is just we all mix it together.
All right. Oh, it smells amazing, Londi.
Oh, thank you. What I like to do, I appreciate that a lot.
Okay.
Okay, what I like to do now is, like I said, usually I'll make them into balls, but just to put a little olive oil in here,
Okay.
So we've got a small bowl, probably about a 6 ouncer, something like that.
and then just place it around here,
Okay.
and then put it in here.
Okay. So it's kind of a mash. Is there enough olive oil in there
Yes,
for it to make a form?
okay,
All right, so we're gonna plate.
nice and loose.
All right.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
That's about 5 inches of yum.
Yes, it is.
All right. All right, so we got a little rice. This is white rice that we steamed and boiled. All right, that's your plate.
Okay, then I'm gonna do it traditionally my way.
Okay.
Because usually,
That's what we're here for.
Okay.
To learn and to eat.
Okay. Well, we do usually.
Now talk about this dish because this is crazy good.
This is with potatoes, olives, the ingredients with sofrito, green pigeon beans. Usually we use kidney beans, but that's all I can find right now. Sazon, sofrito, achote.
But I mean, the fact that you're putting, green olives with pimentos in there. I mean, like you hit the taste
Yeah,
of those
buddy.
things together, just blew me out of the waters. I'm so excited to mix this with the taste.
So
of
you're just going to go on top of the rice?
We love potatoes.
Side. Okay.
Okay, and then I like to put it up top of here.
Hello.
Ooh.
It's already dry as it is.
Here, you can take this is Charlie's plate. Pick that up.
Yeah, make sure Vince gets the one that he messed up.
Yeah, exactly.
We got one more. And so we're going to finish this up, and then we're going to sit down. And I think, guys, we're going to have to taste it and make sure that it tastes okay. We spent all this time on it. All right, so we'll be right back in just one moment. All right, so we're back, and as you can see, we have 3 hungry boys here ready to chow down. So, Alandi, tell us what we made here.
Well, we had the white rice, the mofongo, if you can see in the bottom,
Yeah, the mofongo is the yellow underneath.
the beans on top,
Uh-huh.
and the potatoes at the side.
And the potatoes on the side. Yum, yum. All right, so I think there's nothing left to do but give it a taste.
I'm so excited to eat this.
All right.
The beans with the green olives. I was snacking on that. There's such a depth of flavor with those beans. I'm excited to try the mofongo.
I like how the meat is soft, but then the pork rinds are crunchy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The pork rinds and the fried pork shoulder in there, mixing with the plantains is.
One of the things I was marveling over is it usually takes, when you cook a pork shoulder, for a couple hours, it's because it's a tough cut of meat. But you cook these in like 10 minutes, and they're delicious, right? So you sliced it and then cut it into little
Dices.
like 1-inch squares.
Squares.
Well, I got to taste the potatoes too.
But so mofongo is always made with plantains, crushed plantains.
Right.
It's not like you do it with rice or something. It's like, what makes it mofongo is the
Just the
plantains as the sort of the base. And the pork rinds, I mean, it's so good.
And you have to use the green plantains because
The green plantains.
the Maduros won't work. This is really delicious. So I want to, Vince, thank you so much for coming by this morning.
Thank you, sir. This was fun.
I appreciate the work that Kinship does in the community. It's just you're ubiquitous in my circle, which is St. Mary's, where you mentioned Father Tim Kitsky, who's my priest, and Landi. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I mean, Vince is okay, but
I know, right?
this is just delicious. So, this is one of my. This is something that we like to do: is bring people from the community, showcase what they do, and I just called you Orlando, but that is your name, Landi, sharing your story, and it's an amazing story, and as you mentioned, Vince, it's the tip of the iceberg of what you have persevered through in your life to get to where you are now. But if you cook like this, there's nothing but going up for you.
Yeah.
So
let us know when the restaurant's opening.
That's right.
Or the food truck or whatever is on the horizon for you.
Yes.
So thank everybody out there for watching. We appreciate it. This is our series, Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. As always, we appreciate your support. Please like and subscribe. Always like when you watch our videos and comment. And as always, thanks for watching.